Matas Buzelis on tonight's Summer League game flashed a lot of the potential that Bulls fans are hoping to see in the NBA. How well did he do? We're going to break it all down and more on today's Locked On Bulls.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily Chicago Bulls podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Bulls, man. I can't stress enough just how good Matas Buzelis looked today for the Chicago Bulls, man. Just every bit that you wanted to see. The offensive game was so well-rounded that we saw from Matas Buzelis today, going 10 of 22 from the field, 28 points, 5 rebounds, 2 steals, only 2 turnovers in this game. And you saw Buzelis really turn it in the fourth quarter as well, showing a lot of that dog mentality that Bulls fans want to see from Matas Buzelis. It was great to see, man. Just seeing the game that Buzelis had today, 4 for 8 from three-point range, hitting step-back threes, mid-range floaters, all that type of stuff from Matas Buzelis today was really, really good to see from him. And Buzelis has one of those games where you can tell he just does not stop processing, right? Meaning that he's always kind of surveying, looking at different angles he can take, looking at what he can do. And that's the type of IQ that the Chicago Bulls want to see from Matas Buzelis in his rookie year for the Chicago Bulls. He's going to be a player that I over on Chicago Bulls Central, we did a live stream after the game, and I compared it to how Lauri's first season kind of started for the Chicago Bulls. Lauri Markkanen, people really kind of looked at as, what is this guy going to be? Weren't really quite sure. They were more looking forward to like a Zach LaVine making his debut after the ACL injury and things like that. But over the course of that beginning of the season, people started looking at Lauri and saying, hey, no, Lauri got it here. And I think that Buzelis isn't going to step into where he is as prioritized in the offense as Lauri was his rookie year. But I think that the things that Matas Buzelis does really well, the movement without the ball, the shooting, the mid-range game, the always constantly trying to find a different angle, that's going to be something that really, really is going to surprise a lot of Bulls fans. Even in this game, having the 2 steals that he had. Last game, he had 2 blocks. He's a very still active defender on both sides of the ball. I can see Buzelis becoming one of the Bulls' favorite players, man. I can really see it. The dunk, all that stuff, man. It's just Buzelis is, as a rookie and as much in Summer League, and I said this before, in Summer League, what you're trying to look at isn't necessarily the results, it's the process. What are the things that you're doing? Because that's what's going to translate. The numbers aren't. Is he going to get 28 points in a game in the NBA right away? Maybe not. We'll see. But it's what he does out there on the court, the IQ, the movement, because this is going to be a team theoretically that does try to play with a more fast tempo, and Buzelis can definitely play within that and thrive within that. And so Josh Giddey, being a player that I know a lot of Bulls fans are still kind of down on, things like that. But one thing that Josh Giddey does do is he does create open shots and open look for players. He's also a really solid rebounder. So having a point guard that likes to push the pace, that is a playmaker, Buzelis with his cutting, all that type of stuff, is going to look really good in that new Chicago Bulls offense theoretically. And so it was good to see this type of thing from Buzelis and what we got from him. And the thing that I like too is that Buzelis, who already talked about he wasn't necessarily happy with his performance in the first game, even though that left, I liked a lot of what he did in that first game. To come into the second game and clearly be more decisive and more aggressive, I think that was intentional, right? And, they need to find him a little bit better at times. But it's just something about Buzelis where you just feel like he has kind of that it factor. And the Bulls don't have a lot of guys with that it factor, right? Kobe flashed it last season. Io flashed it a little bit last season. We know that Zach LaVine, who is still in the roster, has done it a little bit, but like Buzelis just has that level of patience and confidence in himself that you know he's going to continue to develop. And one way that I described it as well is that you want as many guys as you look at and you say that their mindset is going to help them maximize on their potential. And that's what Buzelis is bringing right now. He is somebody that looks like he's going to maximize on whatever you see as his potential at the NBA level. And that's the things that I like to see from Buzelis. So I love to see it. Love to see it from what Buzelis brought today. The float game, that's a really good thing because the 3-point shot, how much that comes along in his rookie year, we'll see, right? That's still a work in progress. 4 of 8 today, which is really good. But everything else that he brings offensively is still things that can make him a very productive player, especially the movement off the ball. We didn't have a lot of Bulls players last season that moved consistently off ball. So Buzelis bringing that in, especially after losing AC. Javonte Green's not on the roster as of right now. Losing those guys, having a young athletic player in Buzelis that is going to move without the ball consistently, that's going to help this new offense be a lot better, especially for a team that is shaped up to be a struggle 3-point shooting wise this year. We don't know exactly where they're going to be. But yeah, love it. Even the defense, he's locked in defensively. He's going to have some struggles from the physical standpoint defensively at the NBA level. But I think everything else that he brings, as far as like the off-ball awareness, the fact that he doesn't back down, right? That's something that I look for as well. I talked about it's the process over the results. And something that I do like to see from Buzelis is the fact that he is locked in defensively. He's going to have some struggle at the NBA level, but let's not act like he didn't play against NBA competition today. Like, this is something that's a little bit more eye-opening when you add in the fact that Podziemski was in this game. We know he's an NBA player. He plays that. Trace Jackson Davis was in this game as well, right? Kevin Knox played a lot in the game as well, but he's a player that's trying to still show he can maybe be at the NBA level, but he played a lot of minutes with 21 minutes today too. So it's not like Buzelis is just doing this against just no-name guys. He's doing this against some people that we're going to see at the NBA next year. So love to see it, man. And what I'll say this too, getting Matas Buzelis at number 11, which could very well be a steal, getting somebody with the potential and the upside of Buzelis was already almost a win for the Chicago Bulls. You saw when me and Pat did our offseason grades for the Bulls. But I'll tell you what, if you get somebody who ends up being one of the pieces that help build your culture, right? We've talked about the Bulls not really having that, but to build a culture, a winning mentality, a winning mindset, he has all those things, all those intangibles are there for Matas Buzelis as well. Now, there are some players that absolutely have winning mindsets, they have competitive natures, but they suck. But so when you factor in the skill set that he has as well, that there is some really good skill there now. There's a lot of raw, untapped skill. Somebody had pointed out as well to me that, they want to see him be able to lead a fast break better, and that's fair. I think that he's going to have players that are going to take the prioritization of leading the fast break on the actual Bulls. But with his rebounding ability, Buzelis, if he can add that ability to lead the fast break and pass better, man, I tell you what. I mean, he is somebody who had a questionable assist to turnover ratio with the G League Ignite last year. So that's something you want to see him shore up on his game. But listen, if Buzelis can become a consistent 3-point threat, that is going to completely open up his game. And the floater, the step backs, those type of things, those are really good for Matas Buzelis. So I can't really wait to see what, like, having another dog out there on the court, pairing that with Kobe, pairing that with Io on fast breaks, right? Pairing that even with what Buzelis can bring offensively, whereas kind of Patrick Williams maybe lacks a little bit offensively, and what they can kind of build as a forward tandem at some point. Those are all things that I'm really looking good at. So, I like what we see from Matas Buzelis. Going to be interesting to see what we have. I think we have, 5 more Summer League games? See what he continues to bring and develop. But from Summer League game 1 to Summer League game 2, you can't deny that Matas Buzelis has grown and elevated his game quite a bit. And for that, completely respect that. I see what position is he going to play. Matas is going to be a 3 initially. And I know that some people want to see Matas play the 4 so Patrick Williams can move back to the 3. That's not going to happen, at least not initially. The size is just not a thing there for Matas. And I'll compare it to Kevin Durant. People forget Kevin Durant, because he was so, thin, played shooting guard his first 2 years in the league. So Matas is probably going to start off at the 3, see how his body grows and develop. He could eventually turn into a 4, but I think he's gonna play 3 initially for the Chicago Bulls. But, so that's the thoughts on Matas Buzelis after his first Summer League game. We're going to continue this and talk about what some of the other players brought in Summer League, because Adama Sanogo continues to show and prove why he deserves, in my opinion, some NBA minutes. But first, before we get into that, we got to talk to you guys about from one of our sponsors, and that is FanDuel. All right, guys. So I love sports. I love them so much, as you guys know, as we're here talking sports every single day. I never want them to stop, but as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer games, and the sports aren't sportsing like I want them to. But FanDuel also lets me keeps the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app, and the dream bets up anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with bonus and our bonuses daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer. Listen, you guys, I get it. NCAA football is coming back, and we're going to spend a lot of time in our summers doing that. But you can also go ahead and make you guys some cash. Some of that cash that you spent on, because I know some of you bought the most expensive version of NCAA football 25, and I understand it. I'm right there with you. So make sure you guys are supporting FanDuel by going over there. FanDuel is the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. All right, Bulls fans, man. Thank you guys for tuning in, man. But we talked a lot about Matas Buzelis in that first segment, and rightfully so. Buzelis deserves to be the story there. But there are also some other takeaways from Summer League that I do want to get into. And the first one is Adama Sanogo. So Sanogo, who didn't start that first game in Summer League, he came off the bench. He starts in this one. He does have 10 personal fouls. I want to start off with let's get the negative out the way. The 10 personal fouls was really concerning. He gotta work on that. But again, it's Summer League. Summer League basketball is way more sloppy than NBA basketball for a lot of reasons. But the 10 personal fouls there, let's go ahead and get that out of the way and talk about it. Also, the 2 turnovers, tough, right? So fouls, turnovers, work on that. But outside of that, Adama Sanogo going 6 of 11 for 16 points, 8 rebounds, 2 steals, and a block. And the thing about Adama Sanogo, that this goes back to when me and Pat were talking about his play in the G League. Sanogo is above this level of competition, and he shows that every single night. Sanogo is not a Summer League or G League player, and I think that I hope that the Bulls are the one to recognize that. I'm not saying in any way that Adama Sanogo is going to be this killer, this amazing player at the NBA level, but to me, he is somebody that's showing he deserves a chance. He deserves a chance to be able to compete and show what he can bring at that NBA level. And that was evident in this game as well. Sanogo got switched on guards out on the perimeter and did not back down. Now, can he do that against guards at the NBA level? Maybe, probably not, right? But just that ability, like the one knock on Sanogo coming in when the Bulls signed him as an undrafted rookie was, he's big, he's strong, but can he have the lateral quickness enough to be able to perform at the NBA level? To me, Sanogo's showing that. He understands how to play a traditional big man game, even at being 6'9". The rebounding, the fact that when he has a physical matchup, he doesn't back down. He's relentless on the rebounds and the putbacks, and it's not like he's just a good defensive rebounder. He's a good offense and defensive rebounder. One thing that he did in the G League is that he got the same number of offensive rebounds as defensive rebounds, and that stayed true in Summer League as well. This guy's just a overall good rebounder, and that is going to be something that I could see him feasting on right away. To me, when you're looking at a player that is a G League player, and you talk about them translating to the NBA, you have to look at is how many of their skills translate. And Adama Sanogo's biggest strengths, his rebounding, absolutely translates with his physicality, his size, his wingspan, and then how he thrives off putbacks and in pick and roll. Adama Sanogo is a really good pick and roll defender and offensive player. And while he was 0 for 2 from three-point range today, I don't want to see him taking 3-point shots unless he's completely wide open at the NBA level. To me, Sanogo just keeps showing that he's ready for a shot at the NBA. I'm not mad that the Bulls brought in Jalen Smith, another young guy with upside, but Sanogo has shown that, to me, that he deserves an opportunity to either sink or swim. And on the Bulls next year, especially, you're already a team that's going younger. You're a team that still needs some size, that still needs rim protection. Adama Sanogo has the chance to bring some of that for the Chicago Bulls. I don't know if he can play 4 at the next level. I'm not going to count him out either. But I don't know for sure if he's going to be able to play that 4 position, but he can play 5. And Jalen Smith can play some 4. So I would really love to see, with him being on a 2-way contract, I think he can play, I think it's 62 games before needing to be converted to a full deal. I want to see the Bulls take full advantage of that this season with giving Adama Sanogo some opportunity. And it's really a no-loss situation for the Bulls. If he comes in and doesn't look good, cool. You send him back down to the G League. He's a 2-way player. But if he comes in and he looks good, you have the chance to turn an undrafted rookie into a role player that can go out there and just have a very specific role and thrive in that role, in my opinion. So I really love what Adama Sanogo continues to bring and continues to show for the Chicago Bulls team. And I think that I hope that he gets an opportunity to do it at the next level, because Sanogo is just one of those guys that you just see he's better than this. He's really better than this. And that hasn't stopped since basically his second week in the G League. So hopefully the Bulls are watching and paying attention to that. But then Julian Phillips had a way rougher game than what he had last game. 1 for 9 in this game, 1 of 5 from 3-point range, only 5 points in 31 minutes. But what he does contribute, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 1 block. One of those assists being catching a cutting Matas Buzelis for a dunk. Really good assist there, but Julian Phillips didn't shoot the ball. But I do think that it is something to take away, that he still impacted the game in other ways when he wasn't scoring well. Then our other 2-way contract player, Henry Drell. I know he went 4 of 9 in this game, 12 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 block. That stat sheet doesn't look bad, but this is where the stat sheet is low. Henry Drell, I'm done with the Henry Drell experiment. Personally, I'm done. I'm over with it. You guys can feel how you want to feel about it, but to me, I would much rather have shots of guys who haven't already been here for 3 years. If we're 3 years in to you being in the Bull system and you still kind of look like, no, the Summer League and G League level of competition, that's your level. To me, there's no point in it. 2-way contracts, to me, should be on players that you feel like have a legitimate chance to turn into NBA rotational players for you. And I've gotten less and less of that feeling from Henry Drell the more I see him. That may just be me. Again, the stat sheet isn't terrible, but when you just look at his processing, the thing, like at this point, Henry Drell should look more like Matas Buzelis at Summer League level of competition than what he does right now. That's just my personal opinion. And Andrew Funk got to go. Like, there's no point. Like, I really would have rather have Raekwon Gray on this Summer League team and fighting for a 2-way contract than either Andrew Funk or Henry Drell at this point. And Marcus Domas hasn't looked much better either. So we have one player under a 2-way contract in Adama Sanogo. Henry Funk is on that deal now, but you guys know 2-way contracts can be removed or signed at any time. If I'm the Bulls, I'm really considering Stewart here. This guy, listen, 15 points, 9 assists, 1 steal in this game. Really good defensively. The offense needs a little bit of a work, right? I'm not saying the offense is there yet. He's shown some flashes offensively for sure, but I'm just saying that to me, I would much rather get this guy opportunity on a 2-way contract, even though we're kind of deep at the bench position. But you know, he showed me some of that dog mentality out there, and that's what I like. Former Duke player on top of all of that, so you know that he's learned the game the right way. 22 years old, so I kind of much rather him get an opportunity for me. But we'll see. But yeah, Funk, to me, get him up out of there. Henry Drell, get him up out of there. Yeah, bring back Stewart to me on that 2-way contract. See what you got in him. Unless you go out there and take shots at other players as well, right? So that's definitely a potential as well as taking shots at some other players. But DJ Stewart, to me, is like, I wouldn't mind him getting an opportunity for that G League team. We're going to need some guards down there, especially if Adama Sanogo is still going to be playing down in the G League. I would like to see a little DJ Stewart, Adama Sanogo pick and rolls at the G League level. That's my thought. But nobody else really stood out tonight. We only got 6 total points off the bench from the bench players in Summer League. That's just not going to cut it. But that's my thoughts. You guys can let me know down below who else kind of shined for you in that Summer League for the Chicago Bulls. But before we end the show today, we're going to talk about Patrick Williams on an injury update, an emphatic injury update from Patrick Williams. Will he be ready to go by training camp? Patrick Williams believes he will. But before we talk about that, I got to get into a message from eBay Motors. All right, Bulls fans, passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you always find exactly what you're looking for. And with the eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride anytime or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items, exclusions do apply. The eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. All right, Bulls fans, before we get up out of here, man, Patrick Williams was asked last night if he would be ready to go by training camp. This is when he was interviewed on the sideline while him, Kobe White, Dalen Terry, other Bulls, Chris Duarte was there as well. Other Bulls players were sidelined on that first Summer League game. And he gave an emphatic answer saying, yes, he will be ready to go by by training camp. He said that right now it's just building up the strength back in those muscles because he couldn't run or jump for 4 months. And I think that that's a fair statement, right? So when you look at how long you're out and having 4 months of not being able to do any running or jumping, that can take a major load. And one of the things that Patrick Williams said in this interview that was concerning to me personally is that he was saying how, he doesn't want the Achilles is something that's weak. That you don't want to strain an Achilles, man. Don't talk about Achilles, Patrick Williams. But so it's good to hear that Patrick Williams is going to be fully healthy and ready to go by training camp. I think with this Bulls team going in a younger direction, you want to see everybody healthy. If the Bulls can have a fully healthy training camp, I think that goes a long way to help the play style, to help these players kind of learn, because you're playing with a new cadence. When you change point guards in Josh Giddey, the cadence of how you play is naturally going to change. On top of that, going younger, having new teammates, missing a player like DeMar DeRozan and the gravity that he had for the Chicago Bulls team, you want everybody to be as fully healthy as possible. So P. Will has a big season ahead, man. The new contract there for Patrick Williams is one. And then on top of that, for all the Bulls fans that have been saying for years, imagine what Patrick Williams could do if DeMar DeRozan wasn't here. You're going to get that opportunity now. We're going to get to see what Patrick Williams can look like when DeMar DeRozan is not out there. So let's see what that looks like. Let's see if Patrick Williams kind of takes that next step. A lot of Bulls fans are looking at him to make that step now with the new contract that he has. He's locked in for 5 years. And so, we need to see that. Going younger, if it doesn't benefit players like Patrick Williams, where you start getting a little bit more out of them, you got to question what the hell we're doing here. And so, I love to see that P. Will is taking that next step for sure. Well, as far as in his health and the progress, but we need a Patrick Williams to show more aggression, to show that he's ready in his development mentally to go to take on what's going next for him. And he was asked about the exit of DeMar DeRozan, and he said that, DeMar not having him out there, they built a relationship that goes beyond basketball, beyond teammates, and that he's going to be able to work and use the things that DeMar DeRozan taught him. And we need to see that, right? Regardless of how you view the player in DeMar DeRozan, he did help teach these guys a mentality, right? And so now, how do they take that next step with DeMar no longer here? That's what we need to see from this team. And so Patrick Williams is somebody who is at the forefront of players that we're looking at to help this next phase of the Chicago Bulls. If he doesn't take a step, hey, it's going to be noticeable. Patrick Williams can't hide anymore. We need P. Will to step up. We need a P. Will that is going to be more aggressive offensively. We're going to need a team that spreads the ball out more. Josh Giddey it's hopefully as the point guard is going to bring that, having him, Kobe, Io out there as players that can all handle the ball. But Patrick Williams has to take that next step, in my opinion, because he can easily get passed up. Like, all jokes aside, like, I know that he has a 5-year contract, and P. Will may very well just be a role player, but you can be a high-level role player, right? But with Julian Phillips, Matas Buzelis, right? In the future, if the Bulls are to get lucky and get a Cooper flag, which they won't, I'm not going to assume that. We'll see what happens. But Patrick Williams has to show what he can bring, and this is an important season for the development of Patrick Williams, as it is a lot of Chicago Bulls players. So you guys can let me know, as always, what you guys think on that down below. But that's the time for today. Pat didn't show up. I know Pat is having, he's being father mode right now. I was hoping Pat was going to show up in the middle of this stream. He didn't. But guys, you can follow us collectively at Locked On Bulls. You can follow me personally at CEO Haize. You can follow Pat at Pat the Designer, man. Locked On Bulls is free and available on every podcasting app and platform of your choice, as well as YouTube, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Love you guys. Go Bulls, y'all. Peace.